This one shames. This is a tragedy in many respects, but people at the Department of Homeland Security, I know there are great people there that come to work every single day and do their jobs and do it admirably. Unfortunately, Mr. recently married back here is not one of those people. He works for ICE, and he is an auditor for them, a civilian employee. When he was arrested, he said, "I'm ICE boys." Well, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, we put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail, and my understanding is he helped send people to send federal authorities. I think he's going to see some federal authorities because I think the feds are going to take this case.
Bloomington Police Chief Booker Hodges gave this press conference where they discussed with the media a recent sting called Operation Creep, where 16 people's faces were put on blast for all to see. One name in particular stands out, and that is Alexander Back, a 41-year-old man. But why? You may be asking. Well, let me tell you. NPR News would report that the man, Alexander Back, was among 4 people charged with trying to elicit a 17-year-old girl for you-know-what. He could be facing federal charges as well. Per the complaint, the ICE agent Back would respond to a fake advertisement that was put online that, quote, offered prostitution services. He'd receive a text from the undercover agent, who in this case was named Bella, of her quote-unquote services. She would say that she is 17. Back seemed to have no issue with any of it. The undercover officer would make it quite clear for a second time that she was 17. She gave Back an address on where to meet, and when he arrived, the cops arrested him while also seizing his cell phone. Here is his mugshot that was released by the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. Hilariously, when he was arrested, Back reportedly told the cops, and I do quote, "I'm ICE, boys." Chief Hodges would state, "Well, unfortunately for him, we locked him up." Newsweek printed Back is a civilian auditor with the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and has been charged in the sting via the New Republic. Under the Trump administration, ICE's hiring has become so haphazard that many people aren't properly vetted, with some being turned away due to disqualifying criminal backgrounds or failed drug tests. Many end up being terminated because they don't meet academic or physical standards. Back's case seems to show that the agency is attracting the wrong kinds of people.
Just how many ICE agents are we talking about who could fit into this unqualified category?
Well, according to some data that was compiled very recently internally at ICE, there were over 200 new recruits who showed up for training. That's supposed to be after they've gone through a security vetting, fingerprints, drug test, attested that they can do the physical portion of the training. They've showed up and they haven't been able to meet those requirements. In some cases, I'm told they show up and they volunteer the fact that, no, I never did submit fingerprints, or no, I never did do a drug test. And so trainers are having to pull people off the base there in Georgia and take them out to go get these things done. So the real concern is who might not be admitting that and who might be slipping through the cracks.
So, Julia, why is this happening? Is it because there's a rush to get people through? Is it because they're not being careful enough? What's the best explanation?
When I talked to former officials who know the way this process used to work in the past, they said it was pretty slow going and really used to drive a lot of people crazy because it could take up to a year before they were fully vetted and put out into training and then out into the field. Now it can be as short as 2 weeks. Sometimes it's not exactly clear what needs to happen, but they report to a field office, and if they have no prior law enforcement experience, they're sent to this training.
According to The Atlantic, more than a third of new recruits are failing basic fitness tests, push-ups, sit-ups, even a short run, with senior ICE officials using words like pathetic and disaster to describe the process. The agency is under pressure to add 10,000 new officers by January, but insiders say that rush may be compromising safety standards and the credibility of ICE itself.
What we found was that of the classes that have been sent to the training academy in Georgia, More than a third are failing the basic fitness test, even after some of its requirements had been eased. But basically, you have to do 15 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, and be able to run a mile and a half in 14 minutes. And so so many of their new recruits were unable to do that they're now asking all of their field offices around the country to conduct like preliminary screenings on candidates before they're sent to the academy in order to weed out people who just aren't up to the job.
As a result, ICE officials later discovered that some recruits had criminal backgrounds, failed drug tests, or did not meet physical or academic standards. What's more, some recruits had not submitted fingerprints for background checks, which is a violation of ICE hiring policy. In fact, one recruit had prior charges for strong-arm robbery and battery related to domestic violence. Additionally, nearly half of recruits failed the written exam, even with access to notes and textbooks. All of this as ICE has shortened its training program from 13 weeks to 6 weeks to accelerate the onboarding process. ICE's HR office is reportedly overwhelmed by more than 150,000 applicants, spurred by a $50,000 signing bonus. That'll bring you in a $50,000 signing bonus.
Chief Hodges would also say in the presser, my understanding is he helped send people to see federal authorities. I think he's going to see some federal authorities because I think the feds are going to take this case. From people.com, he was booked into the Hennepin County Jail on November 13th and was released on a $75,000 bond 2 days later. The records would show. Back could not be immediately reached at a phone number that was publicly listed for him, according to a Hennepin County court spokesperson. Back did not enter a plea at his first court appearance. That was on the 17th of November. That's a Monday. He's due in court in December, per the spokesperson. Appalling, abhorrent, and yet I cannot be surprised when these are the barriers or lack thereof that the federal government is putting in place so they could build their fascist machine and so others could then join it. Why are we shocked by this? You have a secret police force that is violating the Constitution willingly, freely. You see Greg Bovino saying, this is our effing city. Do whatever you want. Stephen Miller telling police departments, you are unleashed. What do you think would happen when you put power-hungry people like this in real positions of power and you don't vet them? I think you would call that a criminal enterprise, which is now the federal government. Honestly, I saw this and I was like, wow, that's terrible. And yet it makes sense because they are hiring the dumbest, most criminal people possible. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports and or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.